Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Hollywood Matt Connelly Live. This is Hollywood Matt Connelly. Amazingly, on my own show, it is me. It is strange that I would be on the show, but with the double biceps, it is the contract, a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera, and we're appearing on camera right this minute. We have a fantastic guest in here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is none other than the host of the Lucky Ones podcast. It is Lucky Wood. Great to see you.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
So good to have you on the show. And for those who aren't aware of who you are a female arm wrestler in the United States, and you've been doing a podcast for, you're up to 46 episodes you've got out every Saturday, I think you're doing it. And you get female arm wrestlers from around the world, and you do a show every Saturday night.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's been super fun. I really enjoyed it. It's weird going from host to guest, so hopefully this goes well.
This is not your first time as a guest, though, is it?
Not really. I've been like co-guest with other people before, but never like featured guest. So this is gonna be fun.
Oh, the featured guest. All the pressure is on you now. So you're over in the United States. It's winter time over there, or it's just coming out of winter, I guess. But you've been snowed in. You're saying?
Yes. So we had two teacher work days at the beginning of the week, and then yesterday, which was Wednesday for us, we got hit with a snowstorm that took us out of school yesterday, today, and today. So I've not seen yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And so I've not seen my kiddos at all this week. So I'm kind of like, oh man, but it's also been kind of nice because I've gotten like a bunch of stuff done around the house, which is nice.
Yeah. So whereabouts are you in the United States? Which state?
So I'm in the great state of Virginia. So if you know where Washington D.C. is, we're right next door to Washington D.C. And so I like to consider it the South. There are people from the South that say we are not the South, but I say we're the South.
Oh, well, there's an argument going on back and forth, is there?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Well, there you go. So tell me about the podcast and what got you started into wanting to do a show specifically, because you've picked a very a niche topic in a niche sport.
Yes. Yeah, and so the podcast really it got started. We're a week away from our year mark. Our first episode was actually March 2nd, 2024. And it was something that I had literally just done a tournament in December. It was like my first official tournament that I actually got to pull other women at. And we were just talking because there was three of us total, and I decided that like I really liked a lot of the podcasts that I had listened to. Like I watched the Paul Italia, I'd watched 98. I had seen Aussie arm wrestler, like, you know, all these amazing Jody Williams, you know, all these podcasts. They were really cool. And so I was talking to just a couple of the female friends that I have that in the sport, and I was like, you know, I really would love to do one that just focuses on us ladies. And so everybody was like really into it. They thought it was a good idea. So I ended up having like nine people come on to kind of brainstorm. And then we just kind of dove right into it. And so we became the Lucky Ones podcast. And actually the name, even though it's named kind of after me, it was that name was actually Casto's idea. Christina Casto, who's one of the co-hosts on the show. So we had tossed around some ideas, and I really liked that one, and everybody kind of voted for that one. So I was like, okay, cool, we'll do the Lucky One. And so So we did our first couple episodes, going back that, that anytime you do something new, it's going to be rough. It's kind of stuff, but it's started out really good still. It's still kind of like cringe, as the kids would say, to watch some of the older episodes. But we slowly and surely got into a really good groove. We've had some amazing female arm wrestlers. We've had all the way up from Gabby Vasconcelos on, Sarah Bachman's been on, and then of course we've had like, amateurs, people who are like up and coming in the sport. And it's been a really fun experience.
Absolutely. We were just seeing your latest episode here with Brandy Bell
Yes.
Robertson
Yes.
from a couple weeks ago, or this weekend just gone, was it?
Yeah, yeah. This was last Saturday.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, there you go. And this is the latest one. And then
Yep.
if you jump on you can see it here, the Lucky Ones podcast, females in arm wrestling YouTube channel. You can find in the live section there. There is all of the episodes. There is 46 of them, and it's amazing that. So you're coming up to 1 year. You've been pretty consistent then. So out of 52 weeks, you're almost hit every single Saturday night.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Wow.
and that's really, thanks to the ladies who have come on, and, and even because I know there's not a lot of us, I haven't had a whole lot of or a lot of repeats on the show either. So we've really been able to, I'm really grateful to the guests who have been willing to come on and, make it like super special, experience for me. I get kind of starstruck every time like somebody agrees to do it. I'm like, really, you're gonna come on the show? And then they're like, oh my gosh, thanks for thinking of me. So it's like that mutual like starstruckness.
Yeah, it is a really nice feeling when somebody is thankful to be on your show, and you're like, I'm thankful
Right.
you're coming on the show. Like it's, I feel like that today with yourself. I was like, oh, well, I saw that you'd put something up, and I was like, Lucky would be a really good guest. Actually, I'd like to hear from her. So,
Oh,
uh,
thank you.
yeah, it was like lucky enough to get Lucky on the show.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you can see here you got Sarah Bachman, and you've had a plethora of different guests throughout the year, which is incredible. And to
Yeah.
think that you've like you said, you've had hardly any repeat guests, which is just incredible, because you think, well, how
Right.
many female arm wrestlers are out there that want to come
Right.
on the show?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, we're
Wow.
gonna have to. I'm gonna start having to get a little creative here in the next couple of weeks. So we have pretty much through the springtime planned. And so now, I've been fortunate to get international. So Canada has sent a lot of representatives over to the show. So I've gotten a lot of Canadian pullers. Branch has been on the show. Ashley, Hoita has been
Mhm.
on the show. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it seems to be the place to go. Like if you're a female and you're into arm wrestling, it's like, well, we want to talk to you, and this is the place to do
Yeah,
it.
definitely, definitely.
Well, have you had any surprises on the show? Like somebody came on and they had a very unique story, or there was something that they said that was you were just not expecting to happen at all.
Oh man, ooh, that's a good question. Um, I think like anytime like I will say that's kind of like I'm super happy about is nobody's cried on the show.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I I get really nervous about that because I'm like I don't want to strike a nerve with anybody or make anybody like super upset, and like especially like because women are often known as like the emotional ones. Not saying that you can't come on the show and cry. You're totally allowed to, but I'm just surprised that nobody has yet. Um,
Wow.
we had I think I I tell her this all the time, so it's not gonna. And I know she's hi, French. I know she's in the comments too. French's episode. was so real and raw, like, and her story was just so um impactful for a lot of us. And that I think that's one of my favorite episodes to really like think back on, of just being like, yeah, we were talking about arm wrestling, and then it took a turn, and but it was such a necessary turn. And I absolutely love that episode. We've had hints to call outs that have happened. Heidi, hinted towards being able to pull Gabby, and then of course that happened at Knuckles Up 5 this past month. So that was kind of fun, of like, oh, is that really gonna happen? And then when they announced it, I was like, yes, I called it. And so little things like that, where I love doing like the little pre-shows. Elizabeth Mossick and Katie Hankey did like a pre-episode. We had Mullen and Fia on, promoting their East versus West match. And that was a really, really fun episode with the two of them, just because they're best friends, and there was just such a 50-50 between the two of them of who was going to take it. And it was a great episode.
Absolutely, I do remember because I watched the French episode, and there was several moments there when she sort of said something, and then there was like a pause of about 5 to 10 seconds where you could see everyone was like, "What do we say to that?"
Right.
So who's gonna
Right.
say something to that? Because that's a very, very, heavy subject. So, yeah, but, it was a great episode, and, it was, fantastic to see that, not only can you get people from around the world, but you can get people that have these very, very interesting and unique stories, and we're seeing that, throughout all of the 46 episodes that you've got there. Everyone has a unique take on the sport and what they do and how they go about it, and it was a pleasure to see um, French's take on things, Ashley's take on things, Sarah, and it is such a wonderful thing to be able to go to your channel and go, well, there's 46 different episodes right here, and if you know any girls in arm wrestling, you're probably going to find them on this channel.
Yeah. And if they're not, send them my way, because I would love to have them on there.
Absolutely. Candy Passmore is in the chat here. She says, "Hey, Matt and Lucky, hello to you." We'll say hello to a couple of people in here because we've got some people saying hello. We've got Sylvester Stallone, my favorite nickname on there. And I like it because I do say Sylvester's Stallone, but it comes off exactly the way he wants it to. So, uh,
Exactly.
Michael Nance is here as well. Hello to you, Michael. And of course, French, the
Okay.
lady.
Best coach in the
Oh, Michael
world.
is, yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Well, he's doing good things. And
he truly
French is here. She says, "Thanks, Lucky. So kind. I was really honored to be on your podcast." We also got
Oh,
Dan Swords, who says Lucky is killing it. We're proud of her hard work and dedication. She is the #1 woman ranked in Virginia.
thanks, Dan. Proud of you too, buddy. Yeah, Virginia Arm Wrestling League, I cannot say enough good things about what he and Josh Harding do for Virginia, and for Virginia's pullers. And they're actually hosting 2 Arnold qualifiers here at the end of the year. One, I believe, in August, and the other is, I believe, November, the middle of November, November 15th. So
Fantastic.
he and Josh do a really, really good job of just putting on seamless tournaments that just run so smoothly. Um and I'm very proud to be a part of their league
That's
for now.
amazing. Yeah. So how is it with the tournament scene there for girls? We're having an issue here in South Australia, especially because we've only got a couple of girls that are sort of into the sport. We go to run a tournament and we just don't have enough competitors to actually put a division together for the girls.
Worst Virginia is not better Casto anyway. Uh Just had to acknowledge that comment real
Okay.
quick. Uh, so I think it's a universal thing, you know. I've been to Virginia tournaments where I'm the only one who shows up, and I pull, 154 men, which is really great. I've not had a bad experience doing that. I'm very grateful for the lightweight guys who, welcome me into their class, and they totally kick my butt. They don't let me win because I'm a girl. And but it makes me a better puller. But I've also gone where there's been 4 other women there, and so it really just is kind of who's available to show up that time. They run 4 throughout the year, so I think last year I went to 3 of the 4, and I was able to have a couple of Maddie Walker was there at one, which was awesome. So I got to pull with her. We have twins here in Virginia, Ella and Emma, and so when they come out, I'm able to pull with them, and we have a blast. There's not a whole lot of people that come from out of state. I missed Martha Swick was there at the November one, and I wasn't able to go to that one. But she wanted to come for the Arnold qualifier, so I was like, oh man. Of course, the one that I can't go to is the one where we get people from out of state that I never get to pull. But this last one, it was actually, I was telling my one of my teammates about it, one of my co-hosts about it the other day, and the one that they just had here in February, I was the only woman who, kind of showed up to pull, and then 2 ladies who had never pulled before signed up. And so then I was like, oh shoot, like I don't want to like just get on the table and like crush them. And then or
I know.
humbly
Yeah.
so maybe I should. So then both of them came as like, no, we signed up so you would have another woman to pull. Like, we saw you pulling in the men's class, but we want to give you, and we know you're gonna beat us, and we know this is your thing, and we're just excited to take home a medal no matter what color it is. So that was the first time ever in the little over a year that I've been polling where that's actually been something that's happened for me, where women, saw that I was polling in the men's class and was just like, you know what? We don't care. We're gonna join so she has some
Oh,
competition.
that's really cool.
So I was really special. That was a great moment for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, so the scene for Virginia is growing. Do you think, like, for not only just for women's arm wrestling, but arm wrestling overall?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think we've gotten like 3 new teams within the last
Wow.
year. The team that I train with a lot here, the Lynchburg Armory Arm Wrestling Club, has really like stepped up their game as far as attending tournaments and starting to like attend things like super match challenges and putting their names on the map. A lot of the guys were pulling like amateurs or like not showing up to tournaments, and now they're like, okay, we're in this. And so we've had a lot of guys jump from amateur up to pros, and they're starting to call out some of the ranked guys in Virginia, so I'm very proud of them. I'm really excited to see especially like as like the mama hen of the club, of like, okay guys, time to hop out of your nest, let's go.
Oh, that's amazing. It's still strange to me that you've got enough people there to be able to have an amateur and a pro class. That's not a thing here. It's
Right.
just the tournament.
Really, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that is why I have a tournament record of 0 wins and 12 losses.
We need to get you in some amateurs.
Well, that would be nice. No, especially going in the heavyweight division as well. Yeah, I mean, it is a smaller sport, less people competing here in Australia, but it is increasing, and we are seeing more numbers coming up, more clubs. It is heading in the right direction, which is fantastic. But yeah, it does kind of suck when you go into a tournament and you go up against Lachlan Adair first round, and you're like, all right, and then you get beaten, and then okay, who's next? Then you got Ryan Bowman is now next. You're like, okay, well, that was a waste of time and money going
Right.
here.
It's like, wait, how is he on the B side?
Well, whoever it is that you've got to go against. Well,
Right.
but at minimum, you're going against people who are very experienced, who have, and especially coming in as a non-seeded person, you're probably going to run straight into one of the top seeds. So it can be very difficult to unless you're quite talented straight off the bat, it can be quite difficult to get a positive tournament record happening. You really got to. It almost feels like people will hold back from competing until they feel they're at a level where they would be competitive, because otherwise they're just going in there to just get smashed.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's so, for especially for ladies, that can be like a really like hit or miss thing too, because we have some ladies who, like, they'll pull no matter what, and they, they'll go 0-2 in a heartbeat just to, show up and get the experience and support a promoter or whatnot. But then you have the other ladies who, if it doesn't have the weight classes that they like, if it doesn't have, XYZ, it's just like, nope, I'm not doing it. You're like, just show up and get the experience. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, half the fun is the after pool and just hanging out with everybody and meeting a lot of people that are into the same sport that you're into.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to jump on with everybody and anybody. It's like, okay, well, this person won the tournament. It's like, do you want to jump on the table for a bit? And they're like, yeah, cool. And now you're on the table with somebody you've never had the opportunity to get on the table with normally.
For sure. Oh, I think, and that's what's so. If I could clip like one thing from like every episode that would be the same, it would be like every woman saying that their favorite part about the about arm wrestling is the community. Yes. And it doesn't matter if somebody like absolutely smashed you in the finals, like they will happily like tell you exactly how to beat them next time or what you need to work on so that you have a fighting chance the next time they pull. And I think that that's really something special about our sport, is just the being able to, people want to see you get better and want to see you improve because they want the competition to continue. And they want to push themselves to be better and to stay ahead of the game as well too. So I know right now there's some ladies that I talk to that, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, they're running out of competition. And because they've gotten to a certain level where either A, nobody wants to pull them, or B, they win all the time. And so having those, that's why for me personally, I'm very excited for what Neil Pickup is doing with the Titans and having the strong women come in, because how else are we going to grow the sport? How else are we going to get more ladies on the sport that can offer that level of competition for especially some of our heavier weight ladies who need that competition and who deserve the spotlight, but nobody will pull them?
No, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, that's one of those things is I think as the sport grows as a whole, we will see more women getting involved in the sport, but we want to make sure that we have avenues and we have tournaments, we have brackets, we have a history, we have people that are there for the new people who are getting into the sport. So maybe, and a lot of the time, the girls that we've had that have come through our club and who have become members, they've come as the partner of somebody else who was like, okay, well, the guy wants to come and try arm wrestling, and she's come along with him, and you can't be in that room and not get pulled onto the table. So eventually they'll start to pick it up, and hopefully they'll stick around. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. The community of arm wrestling is so wonderful. There's so many amazing people and so welcoming and wanting everyone to do well. which is just really strange because you think, okay, well, this is a physical combat sport. I'm trying to overpower the opponent. I'm trying to dominate them in a way. But straight after the match, or even prior to the match, it's all very friendly and very nice, and even after you've been pinned by somebody, they'll be telling you, yeah, I got a better grip on you. You got to make sure I can't get it. See how my hand was higher? That's what I did to beat you. Like, don't let that happen next time. It's like, what other sport are you gonna see that happen ever?
None.
So amazing. Yes, I was saying this to somebody this morning actually, but it feels like the culture that we've got, and I can only speak for the SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club here in South Australia, but it feels like you're going and hanging out with 30 of your friends for 3 hours, every Sunday night, and
Oh
we'll
yeah.
go have the training session, and straight after training we all go to dinner. So we all sit and have dinner and talk and laugh, be silly, and then after dinner we'll go to an ice cream shop and we'll play card games until midnight. So which
I know. I'm so jelly. Like, Franz was talking about it when during her interview, and I was like, man, I gotta get out here, out there, because I wanna experience this. I have to come off carnivore first, so I can enjoy the ice cream and all the food and everything.
absolutely, yeah, well, that's where half the fun is, that because some of the people will turn up and they're like, hey, I'm injured, I'm not pulling tonight, but I just wanted to come and hang out, and they'll hang out
Yeah.
all night and they'll be there till midnight. We're still playing, at like 11:30 p.m. They turn the lights off. They're like, hang on, we're almost finished.
Right. We gotta
Yeah,
finish this round. He's got
that's
4
right.
points
That's
left.
right. But one of my favorite things is I've got a massive bag of games, like card games and all sorts of different things, and we will just it's like, oh, I've got this new game, let's try it out, and then some of them are hits, some of them are misses, but it's like everyone's willing to give it a go. And yeah, it was a Sunday just gone, and I think it was like 11 p.m. I was dealing out cards, and or Uno cards. We say I don't know why, but we also say Lego instead of Lego. But I was
It's okay. I call it a rabbit trail, not a rabbit hole, so
okay,
it's
great.
all good.
Dealing out the cards, and one of the guys there, it leans over and says, "What other arm wrestling club in the world do you think would be playing at 11 p.m. with?" It's like, where else are you gonna find this? So I was like, "Yeah, well," I'm like, "It's your turn. It's draw two." Uh, French says that she does not go to midnight as French is grumpy and needs to sleep. Yes, that's right.
I hate French.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's one of the things that she does like to. When she gets hungry, we all get kicked off of the tables, and she'll start packing everything up. As you are pulling on the table, the strap suddenly disappears. The screws are getting untightened. You're like, what's going on there?
All of a sudden, there's no
Yeah,
pin
that's right.
pads.
Anything you're not holding on to, this suddenly lifts up and disappears. Because we've got to go have food, and there's always an argument as to
Right.
whereabouts we're going to go, and we definitely do not want to go to the hot pot place, but most of the people love the hot pot place. I hate the hot pot place, so
Mm. You should just call like ahead of time or whatever to like the health inspector and have it like shut down and be like,
yeah,
oh, sorry guys,
that's
can't go
right.
there
Absolutely,
anymore.
it's a good idea. We should do that. I might even consider that. So, tell us about what is the club that you're normally training with at this point?
So I do try to make it out to the Lynchburg Armory Club quite a bit. It's mostly just me and a few guys. They're like the first like official club to actually invite me in to come work out with them and to come train with them. But as far as like when I'm training for like a specific event, mostly that's just my coach and I that do it, like Nance. So I'll go down to Alabama and train with him, kind of one-on-one, and then do like workout stuff that he gives me that I hate and complain about a bunch, but it makes me better, so I guess I have to continue to do it.
Is it a lot of like wrist work and small, cupping and working on your riser and
Yeah.
all that fun stuff?
Oh yeah. All that arm wrestling specific terribleness. Um, but yeah, no, but it's been really good. So I dabbled with powerlifting, and I say dabbled meaning like I did it for like 3 to 6 months and didn't do anything with it at all. And so then I started doing HIIT training back in 2019, like right at the end, because I was like, all right, this is the year. It was November 2019. I was like, all right, I'm getting healthy this year. And then so I was good for about 4 months, and then the big C happened with COVID. And so, yeah. And so then it just became like home weights and stuff. And then I kind of fell off of that a little bit. And I was like, I'm kind of done with this. And so when I finally um, found quote unquote arm wrestling actually on TikTok, because that's where I met Mike on TikTok, and he was like, I'm a professional arm wrestler. And I was like, that's not a real thing.
You're like, I'm a professional TikTok player.
Right, exactly. I was like, what? No. And so, but then I went out to Alabama, and we met like kind of face to face, and he had the arm wrestling table, and we watched some matches, and he showed me some he actually showed me, I think one of the first matches he ever showed me was Sarah Bachman
Oh.
versus Gabby, um at the, I think it was the WAL event that they had pulled against each other because we were talking or something or whatnot. And so that was actually one of the first matches that I'd ever seen. And so then he was coming to Virginia for sit down nationals. And so then I went there, and everybody was trying to get me to pull, and I was like, I've never done this before. Like, I don't know. And I met a couple of ladies there, and they were all like, you should get into it. You should get, you should get on the table. You should do it. You should do it. And I was like, no. And but I did. I got the bite, and I was like, maybe I could do this. So I watched the ladies pull, and they were so entertaining, and it was so much fun. And watching Mike pull, and I met just these great people. And after that, I was like, all right, I want to try this. And I was like, all right, can you show me how to get into it? And he was like, the first thing we're gonna do is fix your wrists because powerlifters have terrible
Oh,
wrists. So then he gave me a handful of exercises to do, and the rest was really
wow.
history.
So,
So
so
now I got some pretty decent
aha,
wrists.
fantastic. So, the first experience that you had going into a tournament, you hadn't planned on going into the tournament. You sort of just you turned up, and then they're like, "Go into it." You're like, "No," and they're like, "Just do it." You're like, "All right."
Well, and I didn't even pull that. No, I just kind of watched the ladies, and my first ever tournament wasn't until November, literally six
Oh,
months
okay.
later. So that was my first
What was
tournament.
it? What was the experience like stepping up to the table for the first time in a tournament setting?
So it was the Virginia round robin for rankings, and so and I had invited my mom and my sister to come out, and then Mike was there and I was there, and so we showed up, and there was literally
Yeah.
no other women there at all. And so then they're running around the room like asking women like, come on, women pull for free, it'll be fun, like let's just let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And so then they were going to give me my money back, and they said, hey, since you're the only person here, you'll be ranked number one is Virginia, blah blah blah. And so I was like, well, okay, but like Mike's here, my mom and my sister are here. Like, I really want to pull. And so Mike went and talked to Josh and Dan and asked, like, well, can she pull the 154s in their round robin? And they were like, yeah, sure, that's fine with us. So then it went from like, okay, I'm gonna pull like, another wood to I'm gonna pull 9 guys. And it was like, uh-oh. So right hand, when as expected, I got, smashed 9 times. So I ended up being ranked 9th in the 154 for men's, which was fine. It was a great experience. The funnest part for me was like my sister, like low key panicking in the back with me, like, you can't go up there and pull guys. You can't go up there and pull guys. And literally, if you watch the videos from that match, you literally hear her screaming in the background, you got this, you got this, you got this. She's literally the loudest person in the room screaming for
Wow.
me. And then left hand actually went a lot better. I ended up getting 2 wins on left hand, so I ended up being 4th out of 6 for the men's left hand. I've since been pulled from the rankings just because when we got other females on the women's rankings, I didn't feel good about being on both, so I went ahead and just was like, hey, just let me be on the female rankings for now. And so that way there wasn't like this big whatever political hoo-ha about all that jazz. So, but I was very proud of those 2 male rankings for that year.
So
For sure.
left hand. So you've picked up a couple of wins. What was it like getting the pin on the left?
Oh, it was so good. It actually went to the strap both times, and it was it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and I mean, it was just one of those things where like I was like, yeah, I can do this. And so the first one, the first pin, it was a brutal match back and forth. And he had a flop wrist or whatever, and he was trying to like pull out, and finally I was able to slip. And then when we went into the strap, it was pretty easy to go back over. And then same with the second one, it just was like, yeah, we got it done.
Fantastic. So you've hit the pin pad. Was the feeling like, oh, I won? Like, or was it a surprise? Or
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, okay. So I would say like my left hand kind of just does things more naturally than my right hand does when it comes to arm wrestling. I'm right-handed. So my right is stronger, but my left is just the better arm wrestler. So I think like in the moment it was more of a like natural like, oh, okay. But then like thinking back on it, like I'm just like, I pulled off 2 wins. Like in my first ever tournament in a round robin. That's
that is
crazy.
crazy.
So I couldn't even do that in the women's round robin.
That's fantastic. I am a fan of the round robin. I like the round robin format because you get an opportunity to pull every single person in the class, and it's not that you just go 0-2 and see you later. It's like, oh no, it doesn't matter if you lose every match. It doesn't matter if you win every match. Like you still got to have 10 matches or whatever.
Oh, matters if you lose every match. Yeah, it does.
Well, at least you get the opportunity to get up and compete on the table multiple times. We've got Israel Chavez is joining us here on the show. Hello to you, Israel.
There What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good
to see you guys. Hey there, Lucky. How's it going? Good to see you.
Good. How you doing?
We're just
what are you guys talking about?
First time competing in a tournament, and Lucky managed to get 2 wins. She was in a round robin situation. Had to go in and compete against the men because there was no women that turned up at the show. But she was able to get in with the men there and compete. It was like it was 10 people in the class on the right hand, and you had it was 0 wins and 9 losses. But on the left hand, you turned it around and you got 2 wins. And there was
against the men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very impressive. Well, and in a round robin too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
First tournament.
When did this take place?
November 2023.
Oh, okay, so you've been pulling a couple of years now.
Yeah, so that was my first ever one. So I'm just over that year mark, about a year and 4 months now
Year and 4
since my
months.
very first tournament. So
Wow, that is awesome.
Candy Passmore is not a fan of round robins.
yeah, we joke about it all the time because I was in the 155 plus for that round robin that she was in the 0 to 154. And so the two of us, we didn't do so hot that day. And but I mean, that was my first experience as far as pulling Angie Rose, Sarah Bachman, Jocelyn Brisson, Christina Casto. She was one of the
We're
ladies
talking
there.
a
Martha
smack
Swick.
round robin.
Oh, it was beyond. It was the experience was just something that I will never regret doing as far as being able to really get on the table and know like what not to do. I learned a lot that day, I truly did. And then you also learn that there's definitely levels to this sport as well too. So I was crushing it at a state level, and then I got on the table with Sarah Bachman and was like, what's arm wrestling?
Was that the round robin where there was like a controversy or something, or they were saying that you shouldn't have been included in it? Was that one?
Yeah, it was that one. And that was one of those things where you just kind of I think I let that get to my heart a little bit too much, so I definitely didn't go in with a clear head at all. And I was just like, it was one of those things where I wish that I could do it again, even if the results were the same. I wish I could go in and just enjoy it rather than go in and be worried about what other people thought or whether people thought I deserved to be there or not. So I'll have a chance to do the left hand here in April. April 26th will be the left hand round robin. And I'm actually doing the lower weight class this time, which is even, in my opinion, even more stacked than the other one I did. so we will see. We'll see, and hopefully I've improved a little in the last year, so I can
Absolutely.
get a little better record than 0-11.
Well, that's one of the things we wanted to talk about and highlight was your physical transformation you've done over the last maybe 6 to 9 months. You've basically become half the woman that you used to be, like in some respects. But so tell us about that.
Yeah, so my coach trainer Mike Nance, he's had to switch over to carnivore for health reasons for him, and he was on it. He started about, I think it was January 10th is when he started. And so within like the first like 3 to 4 weeks, he started having these major physical changes with him, and feeling really good on it, feeling great on it, losing weight and all that stuff. And then he started doing research and telling me about it. And so then I was like, I've tried a bunch of stuff. I'm 34. Well, I'm going to be 34. Like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And so I decided just to try it. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it for, a month and see, because that's what everybody says. Do carnivore for 30 days to really, get the full benefit, all that. I'd already gone low carb, so fortunately I didn't have any of that keto flu that some people end up having when they cut out carbs completely. And so once my body hit that ketosis, like, it was like, okay. And I was still able to work out. I was still, I was feeling good throughout the day. And then just like starting to see these little minute changes. And then within the first like 3 months, I think I was down like over 30 pounds. And I was like, oh, wow. Like I had never had results like that before. Like even before when I was doing like HIIT training and all that. And, it's one of those things where like you can't outwork your diet. And so, with me and food, my relationship with food had just been so rocky, to put it lightly. So now I was able to eat stuff that I still like because I like eggs, I like meat, I like, all the things. I've even gotten into liver, which it like shocks my mom to no end. Like she's like, "You're eating liver? What?" Because like, yeah, little Lucky would have never touched that, and now adult Lucky's like, "Oh, I actually like the taste of this. Give me more." So, yeah, and so then it kind of evened out a little bit as far as I just started losing like a little bit here and there, but my body composition kept changing. Like just like my progress pictures from month to month were just like, oh my goodness, like yeah, let's keep going, let's keep going. And then when I hit my goal at the end of the December of that 154 class, like it just blew my mind because this had been something I'd been working towards for over 34 years. Well, not over 34, obviously. Like, I wasn't a baby when I wanted to be, but I just technically over 12 years of trying to really get in shape and really, be proud of how I looked and everything, because, especially me being a woman, having that self-consciousness of like this body dysmorphia and, being self-conscious of how I looked in photos and, hiding behind kids or, crouching down or, being in the back and peeking over. Like it was just, it's such a real thing for me of not liking, the person who I was looking back at. And so being able to have that transformation and be proud of how I did it on top of it of just like, yeah, I've really worked hard I've sacrificed a lot to get to where I'm at, but I'm not miserable either. So
Fantastic. Yeah, you can see. I mean, even just looking at you right now. I mean, the transformation from I think the last time that you jumped on my show is like because I saw the thumbnail because I was looking through my thumbnails to see if I had a good image of you. Thankfully, you sent me one, and I was like, man, that is a stark contrast right there. Incredible job. You've done amazing. What about your like energy? Have you had to buy a whole new wardrobe? Is there?
yes. Yes and yes. So energy, I'm still bouncing off the walls. I still drive everybody crazy with how hyper I am. I'm like, it's one of those things where I've always been kind of an energetic person. Very, very ADHD, diagnosed when I was 10. Like, yeah, that's me. But the wardrobe thing, it's been really nice because I've actually had a lot of women who've given me hand-me-get-downs or sent me clothes for like Christmas or just like, hey, I saw this and thought of you. And so I've gotten rid of about six like big black bags of clothes that I've
Wow.
donated or given to somebody who else is on a weight loss journey who's previous sizes they just don't fit anymore. And so yeah, I actually have a Shein order coming here shortly with some new clothes that I got that I'm super excited because I'm like I was trying to figure out what my new like play style was going to be because I wanted it to be different from like workout. I have work clothes and I have workout clothes, and then I wanted like, everyday clothes. So I was like, I can change my style now. And so, but yeah, but that's been really fun too of just being able to get clothes that are gonna look a certain way on me that I like literally never like 2 years ago I would have never thought that I would be wearing clothes like this or like like certain dresses or crop tops or certain pants that I'm just like wow, like I not only can I wear this, but I actually look good in it too. So this is great.
What was it like? Did you have a moment where like your pants just were falling off and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was so funny because I was thinking about that today of like, because I have a whole thing of t-shirts up there, and half of them are my comfort t-shirts, like t-shirts that I've just like loved to wear, and I've just gotten attached to them because I was the same size from about 23 to 33. Like I wore the same size. So like nothing, and so like all these clothes that I've literally worn the last 10 years no longer fit me. And it's almost like one of those things where it's like you want to be so proud of yourself, but at the same time, I get sad thinking about like, this was my comfort shirt and it doesn't fit anymore. And, they talk about when you outgrow your clothes, when things get too small, having like that sad, like, oh shoot, I'm getting bigger. But then, like, nobody really talks about like the sad part of like, oh, it doesn't fit anymore. It's way too big.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
guess maybe it becomes into like a sleeping T-shirt or something like that.
right, exactly.
Israel, you've also lost you've dropped dramatically in the last 3 months. Is that a diet thing as well?
Yeah, I did the same thing. I dropped like 60 pounds on a carnivore diet.
Oh,
Wow.
carnivore as well.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The first month I also dropped like 30. It was crazy. I never really, thought that would work that way, but I gave it a go, and it really works. I still want to get down a little more, maybe another like 30 pounds. I'm trying to get back into it, but it's definitely like you were saying, it's an adaptation. You gotta go through that first month. I was feeling a little sluggish like the first week or two, but then
Sure.
you start kicking in high gear with the fats, and you get the energy reserve, and it does get going. I definitely felt good after that first month. And another thing I'll say, the biggest benefit apart from losing weight and retaining strength, I had like the healthiest gut I have ever had in my whole life being on carnivore personally. Like I've never
Yeah.
had like severe gut issues, but I mean, compared to being on carnivore, I definitely always had something going on because, man, I felt flat like always being on carnivore.
Wow, big
Yeah.
difference. What was the inspiration behind getting on it?
I had a few buddies just like around the Bay Area where I live who are on other teams, and they went on carnivore, and I saw the like dramatic results. I mean, I'm like it's hard for me to get out and do cardio so much and like lose it just that way. Especially back then, I had a huge appetite. I was eating a lot more carbs. So I would just go out, go on a run, and then come back home and fill up. So it was like pointless. And yeah, so yeah, I made the change. Completely started eating meat, and that was definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
Wow. So is the diet that you're eating? I mean, there's a couple of different versions, I think, of carnivore, but the super strict version is pretty much all meat, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's basically what I was doing. Pretty much all meat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wow.
I would
So
have like a little cup of rice, like every week. Like on Wednesday, Thursday, I'd have like a cup of rice with some steak or something, just to have a little bit of carbs. But other than that, it was all meat.
so you get up in the morning for breakfast. What's breakfast look like?
Well, I was either eating like some. I have like a local butcher that I would get some meat at. I would either make like a big like pot the day before of like some chuck roast, or my lady would make it for me. So I'd have like some chuck roast ready. I'd have like a whole pack of bacon. I'd have like some sausages, some venison sausages. I was just eating different things, some avocado, nuts. Like I was having milk, like a cup of milk. Just different things. Eggs. Um, what else? Like a lot of beans. I was eating a lot of like lentils.
Mhm.
Just trying to keep like the protein intake up, and just like once I started like getting past those first 2 weeks, I cut off all like the other stuff, and it was basically just meat, nuts, and milk.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Was it difficult to adjust to? As you said, the first week was very.
I would say almost the first like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I felt my energy go down a little bit, but that like month mark, it kicked up. It kicked up a lot.
Wow. Did you find the same thing, Lucky?
Yeah, well, for me, like I said, it was a little different just because I was already on a low carb diet, so it didn't affect me too bad. I had more of the cravings rather than that like sluggish feeling. And so I think that was like the big difference between that was because since I was already low carb, taking out the rest of the carbs, I ended up not getting too sluggish, fortunately. But I'm just,
That's good.
my
That's
friend likes
good.
to say I'm God's favorite, so that's I'll claim that.
I think the sluggish part might have been on my part that I wasn't eating enough fats. Like the first couple weeks, I was doing mostly meat. So the fats are important, especially in carnivore, because that's kind of where you get your energy reserves from.
For sure. Well, and
So
I had a
that's
coach too because I had kind of watched, with Mike all his mistakes that he was making with carnivore.
Oh,
So then I was like, sweet, I just won't do that part of it, and I'll just do the opposite.
he was like
So
the
it
test
was
rat
very
for it.
helpful to have somebody like who was like 2 steps ahead, who was helping me through it. So then it was easier for me.
so you're adding in like things like nuts, avocado. That's where you're getting your essential fats from.
So Israel, yeah, I can't have nuts. I'm allergic.
You're allergic. Okay. Do you eat
Yeah.
like what are you doing for like besides the meat? What do you do for like fat intake, like avocados,
So
anything like
um,
that?
I have done that, but I stick to the fattier meats where
Okay.
I'll do like the ribeyes, and then I'll do like pork steak, which is really good, and then eggs and cheese are the big ones for me.
Yeah, eggs
Fantastic.
is a good one. Eggs is a good one.
What do you have a favorite meal?
Oh, pork steak. I
Pork
love
steak.
me some pork steak.
I don't even know
And
what that
I'll
is.
do I do the I think it's
Like a
called
pork chop?
Kellogg Gold Butter. Sorry.
Okay.
It's like a pork chop, kind of.
Oh, it's even better than a pork chop
Oh, it's
because
even better than that.
but yeah, no, but yeah, it's a cut. I think it's not the shoulder. It's part of the belly, I think. I don't remember what part of but yeah, if you go they have it at like Sam's Club where you can get like literally a 10 for like $25. It's crazy. But yeah, they're thinner, but not like super thin. But there's a lot of fat on them. It's marbled, and I mean, I do it in the Kellogg Gold Butter with coarse salt and chef's kiss. That's my favorite.
I'm getting hungry talking about this, and now that I'm looking up images of pork steak, which we could see here, now I'm
Yeah.
definitely getting hungry. So is this sort of thing here that you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
Wow.
that's fairly easy to make. You just throw it in the pan and
Fry it
wait
up.
till and away you
Oh
go.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you cook it just like you would like a regular steak, except it's a little. You put it on not super high heat, but if you put it on like a medium to a medium low or whatnot, and do 2 to 3 minutes on each side, gives you a nice medium rare. It's
I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I keep like, let's talk more about meat and delicious meat and cooking it and
That's
how
gonna
good
go
it
and
tastes. It's like it's right in the middle of the day here as
And
well. So
you can eat a ton on carnivore and just like it's like you're not eating you're not getting like super full like you do when you eat carbs. That's what I liked about it. It's expensive though. Eating a lot of meat does get expensive.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I pair everything. And I mean, well, then I can't really say anything anymore because in America, our eggs are ridiculous right now. But I mean, I was doing 3 to 4 eggs to kind of like offset some of like the meat costs, and now the eggs are more expensive than the meat.
It's it's ridiculous the egg prices, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you're trying to make a dietary change, and all of a sudden the price just shoots through the roof of that thing that you like. Well, that's the thing that I was going to be eating. And
Has there been a price in like the egg or a price change in the eggs in Australia at all?
I think it has. Yeah,
It has.
I
Wow.
haven't been shopping much
The
lately,
bird
so
flu's got all the way to you guys, huh? That's crazy.
it all trickles down. We get the very bottom of it. uh,
Man.
yeah, so but it has made a tremendous difference physically, from what you can see in for both of you actually. Um, so is it going to be something that you're going to maintain and sustain? This is the way you eat forever now, or is there going to be some things you're going to add in over time that you're going to add this back in, or you can splurge here, or
Right. I had initially said that I was going to do it for a year and just see where kind of I was at. After I hit that month mark and all that. Um, but I don't. So I'm coming up on a year. And so
oh,
I think, for right now, my plan is probably to stick through it through at least the summer. I really want to see how much I can lean out with it before kind of, jumping back on the carb train. And not to get too Debbie Downer, quote unquote, real, but, there is that part of me too that because I had an eating disorder before with like the binge eating and all that stuff, I get nervous going back to kind of eat how I was before, and I don't want to undo everything that I've done, that I've worked for. So carnivore's kind of been like my security blanket, if you will. And so now it's like, am I ready to rip it off? But I mean, there's people, who have been on carnivore for years and years and years that I follow that they're living perfectly healthy, good lives, building muscle, doing everything that they need to do, and it's a good way to live. But I don't know if it's for me right now. But I know for right now, at least, the plan is through the summer just to see how lean I can truly get down to.
mm. Absolutely. Well, Candy Passmore has said that she could go her whole life without meat, but she can't live without pasta and bread. But I do eat a lot of cottage cheese and eggs.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Israel? Is this going to be the permanent change, or is there going to be some adjustments along the way?
No, it's definitely it's definitely something that I want to incorporate again and go down a bit more. I'm really not. I mean, I eat a lot of meat, but I'm not like on a carnivore diet right now. I eat carbs. I do want to get back on it and go down, but I really do enjoy carbs too, like pasta bread. I mean, it's hard to stay away from. I'm thinking once you get somewhere comfortable that you can maintain and like you feel good at, you can indulge a little more. Have a little bit of bread, a little bit of pasta, some rice. In your meals. I mean, it's not gonna kill you. Just don't. I'm not gonna go back to like how I used to eat before. As much as I used to eat before. But I'll definitely, I definitely will go probably back and forth and eventually get to like a happy medium.
Did you have to give back your carnivore card when you ate the pasta and the bread? They said you're
It
disqualified.
it
You're out.
feels really. You feel like you're betraying yourself in a way. You really do. Like, I mean, I only did it for, 3 months. So I can't imagine how you might feel going back to, some carbs. It's like, man, it's really hard after you're on it for a while because you feel like there's just so much you don't want to let go of. The gut health,
Yeah.
the fact that you feel good, you've got your energy up now without having carbs. I mean, it's a big commitment, and to just go back, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the difficult thing is when you have a diet like that, uh, you're almost restricted to taking meals with you everywhere you go because wherever you go they're not going to have what you need. And so you go to a friend's place and hey, I've cooked you a big pasta dinner, and you're like, oh, I should have done that because yeah, I can't eat it.
Yeah.
It is a very difficult thing to maintain, and credit to both of you for sticking with it for the amount of time that you've got, and you have got these fantastic results, which is incredible to see.
Right.
and I mean, and since you're not eating carbs, it takes a lot more to fill you up. So, I mean, in one sitting, I was eating like 3 to 5 pounds of uncooked meat. So
Why weren't you cooking it?
well, no, like before before I cooked it, it was like 3 to 5
It was
pounds.
just
It goes
it's just
6 years
animals that were
away.
walking past. You were just like, ah.
Chunks out of animals.
Look, there's 5 pounds of meat over
Okay,
there.
you
That's our
can
dog.
keep your if you're eating that much raw meat, you can keep your carnivore card forever. Like you don't
I
ever
know,
have
my
to.
goodness. Yep. I actually I know someone out here, coach that I had for a while. He's been doing raw food diet for like the second longest in all of like the USA. He's like at 30
Wow.
years, 30 something years, something like that.
Wow.
That's
What is
crazy.
so what is
It's
raw food though?
he only eats like raw eggs, a variety of eggs. He'll eat like raw salmon, raw steak, raw. I don't know what else. Everything raw. Anything like only raw meats. And I mean, he's been doing it for a long time. You know, you guys might. He's actually a pretty well known guy. I don't know if I want to just throw his name out there. He's known. It's
Alright.
Paul Cohen. He's actually one of the coaches that brought Serena Williams into the sport. I don't know if you guys saw the movie King Richard.
Yeah, I
But
did.
he's plays a role. There's a role of somebody who plays him in the movie, and it's him. It's Paul
Yeah.
Cohen.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting
cool.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah. That would be difficult, yeah. Like to live for that long as well, 30 years of being very, very strict and restricted on what you do eat.
very.
Oh.
And he takes a whole range of like different probiotics and stuff, like cultures that he grows in his fridge that you would look at it and you'd be like, oh my goodness, like that needs to get thrown away. No, it's
He's like,
all
it's just
healthy
right.
stuff.
It's perfect.
Don't touch
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, don't
Exactly.
touch it. Get your eyes off of it. It's got
Right,
my
right.
name. It's
Don't
got my
even
name
breathe.
written on the side.
This has
People
been
ask me
fermenting
that.
for 40 years. Literally.
Yes, it's aged 40 years of probiotics. Ugh. It's like, no, that's mold.
At that point, I mean, hey, the man knows more than me, so he's healthy and doing good in his 80s. So who am I to say it doesn't work? You know.
We were talking earlier about first tournament experiences. Israel, what was your first experience like stepping up to the table?
Man, first tournament. Wow, you're really making me go back in the memory bank.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? It's easy. My first tournament was. I actually did a tournament before I ever did a practice or anything. I mean, my first tournament was me thinking that I was a strong kid and I was going to show up and just beat everyone. You know, I was 15, 16 years old. My mom took me to Reno, Nevada. They had a big tournament, and I saw a whole bunch of the big names there, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? And you know, I was 15, 16, weighing like 200 pounds, 215 pounds. So I was in like a big division, you know, and it was just brutal. I mean, luckily I went against like the younger kids because I was 15, 16, and I got like third place, but only because there was like 5 people in the class. And you know, I got 2 pins, but no technique at all, just like raw just to the side. I mean, literally, yeah. And that really, you know, opened my eyes to the sport. And you know, I had one guy, his name is Billy Kirk. He was there with his son. I don't know where they're out of. They're out of the Midwest, I think. But he used to be a big time arm wrestler, and he was just up there showing me some things that just completely blew my mind. Like I had never thought about arm wrestling with, you know, thinking about it the way that he was explaining it, like being more in depth and just pushing as hard as you can, you know. And that just hooked me, man. I mean, after that, you know, I found the Armbenders, the California Armbenders, which are a pretty well known team out of California. I think the oldest team out of California, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I mean, the rest is history. You know, I met Tom Nelson, met a few of the legends here, Derek Smith, and you know, from there, you aim for the top.
It's amazing. I can't believe you entered the tournament with never having gone to a practice.
Zero. Never put my arm on a table. I mean, it was just crazy.
Wow. So you walked up to the table, and the first time you put your arm on it is a match.
It's a match, exactly. The first time I put up my hand on the table, it's a match, and I won that match.
Oh, really?
Yes, that was one of the ones that I won. But like I said, just straight up, like no technique at all.
Wow. Wow. You've come away with a win on your first match. That's insane.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's
you're
cool.
like, this is easy. What is everyone complaining about?
Michael Nance said something right now in the chat. He said Billy Kirk was a truck driver and was his first sit down match win. There you go. So he knows who he is. Yeah, he's an OG.
Nice.
Billy Kirk. There you go. Yeah, the sit down one is interesting. We haven't got any of those tournaments over here, but I know there's a
I
couple that run
love
in the
sit
United States.
downs.
What
You've
is it
done
like?
before? I've never done it.
Oh, it's so good. So being sit downs will help you with stand up, but stand up does not help you with sit down. So
Wow.
sit down is a lot of side pressure and power, and so
Inside game.
when I train, when I want to like really work power and stuff, we'll do the sit down table at Mike's. But yeah, I did my first sit down tournament was back in April, and that was my first two national titles was when I won the sit down nationals in April, and it was a lot of fun, but because for me it takes away, like, literally, because you're sitting down, I can just focus on what I'm good at, which is side pressure and power. And so I've really enjoyed learning sit downs, and I've done it twice now, and it's just in a tournament setting, and
Right.
walked
So
away with first both times.
Wow.
it's amazing.
Are you
So
what's your strong arm? Left hand, right hand?
So my strong arm, I'm gonna make my coach proud of me and say my strong arm is my right hand, but my left is the better arm wrestler.
I see.
So
Your left is a lot more like static, huh?
yeah, I think it's just because when I learned how to arm wrestle, like, my left just kind of picked it up because I'm not left-handed, so it doesn't really do anything. So it's like, okay, I'll learn how to do this. And then also, some people say that the only reason people are good left-handed is because pretty much everybody is bad left-handed. So that might be part of it too, is I've just been lucky enough to go against people who don't really pull left that much. So
No, I feel that. Yeah,
but my right is definitely stronger as far as like the numbers go and power
you're
goes.
more
My right
technical with your right.
is
Yeah, it seems to be. I've noticed this trend amongst people when they first start is if they're right-handed, they tend to rely on their strength and maybe they're beating a few people in the practice room because their technique is no good, but they're just overpowering somebody that might be smaller than them or whatever. But with their left, they can't they can't rely on that. It's not as strong, and they just can't get it right. And so they actually do listen to your instructions they're like, oh, okay, well, and their left for the first maybe 3 months feels a lot stronger than their right. And I was like, you right-handed or left-handed? They're like, oh, I'm right-handed. It's like, your left is way better. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't know why. It's like, well, you're doing the technique correctly on your left hand. You're just trying to beat me with power on your right.
I would agree with that. That's true for me, at least.
No, yeah, it feels like I'm right hand dominant, so it just feels like my left is just like, because I'm not so dexterous with it and can't like move it the way that I can move my right. I just like flex it more statically with more like, up pressure, just more of a post, just naturally. That's with my right. I feel like I'm just thinking more and I'm trying to do more things, and like, because it's my more able arm, so at least at the beginning it was like that. It felt like I was just having a harder time with my right because I was trying to do more with it, and my left I was just like whatever, and wasn't overthinking it and just going into the top roll, and it was working.
What did you start out with as your sort of go-to technique that it was like, oh, this is clicking with me? Is it the press, the hook, or were you like, oh no, top roll is where it's at for me?
From the very beginning, with my right, I was hooking, and with my left, I was top rolling from the very beginning.
I don't know why, but it's just what felt great, and I always stuck with it. I think I sustained an injury on my left that I just never got checked out, and it kind of kept me away from the hook. It would hurt to go inside, so I just went with the top roll, and it always worked. I mean, most people's left hands can't defend against a top roll very well. I don't know why, but it's just the way that it's been around here. And And yeah, the right definitely hooking. And I don't know though. Now that I got my surgery and I've been working out for almost like a month, it's starting. I'm still low weight. I only put like today. I only put 45 pounds on the wrist wrench, but it's coming back. It feels a lot more connected. That's one thing that I've noticed is the connection. I did not have it before.
How about you? How about for you, Lucky? Did you gravitate towards one of the techniques straight away?
Yeah, I think I always kind of I learned the top roll was like the first thing, and then I was winning with the top roll, which was kind of nice. And so that I can top roll and climb and transition pretty decently. And so now I'm kind of working right now towards my high hook for both arms because those are doing well. And I actually back in January I had a super match with the right and left arm, and it was like 5-0 because I had won the left arm and then we did the right arm and I had won the first two matches. And he was like, all right, my coach was like, all right, if you want to you can go ahead and top roll. And I was like, okay, cool,
Yay!
And so we went into a top roll, and but it was a trick because then he was like, see how much longer it took you to top roll than when you do the high hook like I tell you to. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I've always like it's been again a comfort move is my top roll, and so now I'm like, okay, let's go. But because if you look at some of the ladies at the higher level, at the more elite level, it's that high hook or deep hook that they really gets you into like good grinders and everything. So I definitely want to be able to be multifunctional and not just have one move.
Absolutely. Candy Passmore says, I feel backwards with my left. I am known for my hand and wrist, but my left did not get the memo. Talk us through the high hook technique that you're implementing or looking to implement. Is it so you're posting high as in like a top roll position, but instead of pronating, you're supinating? Is that what you're doing?
Sure. I think yeah, I think for that high hook it's really gonna be like that snatch towards your chest as much as possible, and really trying to fight against their top roll. A lot of ladies like the top roll, so um it's one of those things where if they can get into that top roll faster than I can get into that hook move, then either my risk is compromised or I'm really having to fight back to get that cup back. And so really just working on getting that cup straight towards the chest, and then go over to get the pin.
Have you
So it's been a lot of wrist stuff that I've been doing. I do a lot of static rotations. I do a lot of stuff with the wrist max and the wrist wrench. Just really working on making sure I don't lose my wrist again. Especially now that I'm a lot lighter than I was before.
Yeah, has that made an impact on the way that you arm wrestle?
Oh, for sure. And I think that's just one of those things is anytime you lose weight, you're gonna lose strength. I know for me at least, I'm probably currently probably like 75-80%. 2 months ago I was probably about 60% strength of where I used to be. And so I'm slowly getting it back. My numbers are actually looking really good. I kind of track that. Bob Brown really talked about, keeping that journal and, kind of pacing yourself and, making sure that you're building weight back or putting weight back on. So I think for me, like I'm probably about, like I said, 75%, 80% of how strong I was before I lost a bunch of weight. But right now I'm as strong as I've ever been, as far as like now being able to really, now that I've made my goal, putting getting back to the numbers where I really want to see that improvement and see that growth in the muscle.
What about physically on the table? Like, do you find that there's more room for your arm, your shoulders not blocking as much now?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm able to get a lot closer to the table, which is really really nice. And so I'm actually like up on the table. Actually at Knuckles Up, it was kind of funny because like I'm so used to overcompensating with my shoulder. Like when I was a bigger size, because I was further away from the table, I could bring my shoulder up forward, and like I kept kind of getting in trouble because my shoulder was too far forward, and I've never had that issue before. And so like the ref was telling me, I was like, put your shoulder back, put your shoulder back, it's like, this is where it always goes. What are you talking about? And so I wasn't used to it because like, it never was a problem before. And so being on the table, adjusting to me on the table, I think it wasn't as abrupt because I've like spent a lot of time on the table. But then like I think this last time in January when I was at the Knuckles Up tournament, I think that's when it was really like eye-opening of like, oh, my body has changed and I need to readjust now that I'm this smaller size.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Makes a tremendous difference. Lachlan Adair is probably my go-to example of that when he dropped down from, I think, about 115 kilos down to around the 100, 105. And he said, that his bicep and his shoulder was so inhibiting of his ability to get tight because it was blocking him. He couldn't close his arm, like it was, that's as far as he could go. Whereas now he has a lot more movement and he can really get into positions that he couldn't get into before. I know, Israel, you haven't been able to get on the table since you've had the weight loss, but I'm very interested to see how it goes with your physicality and whether it does make a difference for yourself, and whether techniques and stuff will change for you.
Yeah, man. And it sucks because of the surgery, I still can't push it to the level to see, because I have, like, she's like Lucky was talking, I have my journal where I keep the numbers and everything that I've lifted before, and I just can't test it yet, man. It sucks. I'm being slow about it because I don't want to like risk messing anything up. It's not, it's been a while since I had the surgery. I feel like I'm on the 5-month mark now, but I don't know if it's just because it was a shoulder surgery or, it's just the recovery has really sucked. And I did go to a practice a couple weeks ago from just a local team. Most of the guys are like pretty brand new to the table. There's one like pretty experienced guy. He's like 6 years in, and he's a little bit lighter than me though. He's like a heavyweight, and he was beating on my arm pretty good. We kind of slowly, gradually went into it, and it felt okay. It didn't. I was not arm wrestling how I normally arm wrestle though. That's the weird part that was getting me. I was like all top roll, which was so weird because my right has never top rolled. So it's some funky things going on with my right now. It's like I'm like figuring it back out. It just doesn't feel the same as it did before.
Ooh, okay. So you might have made the transition from hook to top roll.
Well, yeah, or I've been like after the practice, I've been training the hook more to try to get it. Maybe it was more of like a mental block because that's kind of where I tore it in a hook, and like trying to get in like a deep hook is where I tore the tendon off. So it's maybe I'm just a little scared, but my top roll feels like it's never felt before. So yeah, maybe.
Well, it's interesting. I'm very excited to find out how it goes, but I think you're going about it the right way and taking your time, because you do have the rest of your life to arm wrestle, and the last thing you want to do is go and tear the bloody tendon again or whatever it is, and it's like now you're back to square one. So you've got 5 months of recovery so far, and you're at this point. It's like, okay, there's no rush. You'll get back into it. Arm wrestling will always be there.
Yeah. I mean, I already.
Is there anything like this year that you want to like, all right, if I can be ready for this, you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah, so there's one event every year that I try to train for and be ready for, and that's the Patterson Apricot Fiesta. It's like a big tournament here in California. A lot of like the big time names go, and my surgery was in September, so I was thinking, that's the tournament I want to make my comeback in. and I've only really been able to start, like I said, getting back into it like a month ago. So I don't know if 5 months is enough time to get to that level. Like I was telling you, it just sucks because I can't test out my arm the way that I could before. I just don't know where I'm at. I'm definitely not where I was before, so I just don't know how long it'll take.
Well, it takes as long as it takes, my friend. You will get there in the end, but the last thing you want to do is injure yourself. So, if it's
Yeah, man.
if it's
I gotta
improving
keep it healthy
steadily.
because I still got to put a whipping on record. So
Yeah, well, he will be competing here in Adelaide on the 23rd of March on left
man, dude,
hand.
I love watching that guy compete, man. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about this before, Matt, but that's one of those guys that, he's new to the sport. He's still getting his bearings, but he's just so damn strong, man. So strong.
It's ridiculous, and it's like when you meet somebody that just naturally has the ability to just dominate you. It sucks. Like it's great, but it sucks. It's like my wrist. It feels like his wrist is like another third wider than mine.
Wow. I mean, he's a pretty big dude. What is he, like 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", something like that?
Same height as me, so 6'3",
Okay.
but he's 120 kilos, which in pounds, I think it's like 250 pounds or something.
Yeah, like 250, maybe a little more than that, 260, something like that. He's
flexing that he's
264.
over 6
60,
feet.
yeah, 264. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And like 19, 20 years old. And
young.
Just
I mean,
what's fun for,
I saw him, sorry, not to cut you off. I saw him training with, I think, some of his like brothers or something out back home. Those guys are pretty big guys too, man. Literally crazy.
Yeah, he has a younger brother, Duvan, who's 16, who is I think is 110 kilos or something. He's so both of these young men are going to be forces to reckon with in the future for sure.
His younger brother's arm wrestling as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they have a scene in South Africa, and from what I've heard, it is quite competitive, but we just don't really get the opportunity to really see a lot of it. I think that we're going to be trying to do what we can to help promote that and get those people a spotlight, because apart from Terence Offerman, I don't think there's too many people that know many South African arm wrestlers, and they are a very, very powerful bunch of people.
Now, Matt, I wanted to ask you, because I saw that you made an announcement about the Grand Prix, the third Grand Prix, right?
Yep.
So is that something that Reichert is going to defend for a third time?
Well, we had to do it under 85 kilos to avoid having Rickard come in and win again.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so
you got to nerf the competition so that Reichert can't go in. That is crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because he won the first AWE Grand Prix tournament undefeated, won the second AWE Grand Prix tournament undefeated. It's like, we need to get another tournament happening, and we've got to do something to stop Rickard from winning.
That is just insane.
So
now let me ask you, do you think that a match between him and Lachlan will ever happen, even if it's just like for fun? Just, I mean, I know they've pulled a lot, and they've probably already had matches, and you probably know the results of what that would look like. But is it competitive, or, I mean, like, where do we stand right now? Would it be something that's possible for Reichert right now?
Well, never say never, but the only thing really restricting it is the contract that Lachlan has with that has a condition in there that he can't compete unless it's on East versus West, or King of the Table doesn't exist anymore. But I think we will definitely see that at some point in the future. So, and as far as how the result would be, I think it would be very close.
Wow, that is awesome. That is crazy to hear.
See, at East versus West, Robert Baxter said that King of the Table was coming back.
Oh. Okay. I don't know.
Because I had heard it wasn't, and then I heard it was, and then it wasn't, and then it was.
Yeah, I had also heard that it wasn't, but I guess
at this point in time, I'm not sure. So if it does, great. If it doesn't, Okay, well, I mean, it was pretty much the same organization, sort of. It was like, okay, East versus West, and then you're king of the table, but it was mainly the same people. They just sort of floated between the two.
Lucky, did you get a chance to watch East versus West at all?
I did.
You did.
And
What do you think about Fia? You know, she's the only one that holds both hammers.
I am so proud of her. And it was funny because I think I was like one of the only podcast hosts that did not make a prediction on who was going to win because, like, my personal heart went one way and my podcast heart went the other way. And I just could not choose between the two of them. And so I went in with like no expectations for who, because I was legitimately gonna be happy either way because I love both those women, and just to see her hard work pay off and all her dedication that she's had, and I talked to Mullen a little bit too about it, and she was feeling some type of way, especially coming down in weight, and so we were able to kind of have that back and forth between the two of us of like, hey, I get it, like, as somebody who's literally lost 52, because you have to say kilograms when you're talking to people outside of America. Like, I've lost 52 kgs, like, give yourself grace and time to really be at this size, and then go back and kick her butt again. But I was just, for it to be Fia, it could not be more well deserved. You see how hard she works, you see how dedicated she is to the sport, how dedicated she's been to this sport. And even to growing it as far as the women's side too. Like, she's always willing to help other women. She's working with other women. She's supporting other women. But at the same time, when she's on that table, she knows who she is and she owns who she is, and she's not messing around with anybody. So
Absolutely. And
I
she has
couldn't
a great
say
support
enough nice
system.
things about Fia.
Yeah, that whole Swedish team, they work hard. They are like, I think, the most serious group of like women arm wrestlers, like, as a whole, and maybe in the world. I mean, they have been
Yeah.
going hard at it for, just in terms of like duration. They have been going hard for years. I mean, they've been a team and training together for like the better part of 20 years. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Fia's been arm wrestling. I think she said now, because she started when she was a young teen, like I think 12 or 13. She's at, yeah. Um, she's just beyond like where she's at. Like, she doesn't have any more competition at the 70 kg. And now she's even talking about going up to the 80, and I'm like, do it, girl. Girl. And so I would love to see her in Egley and just see
Oh
where
yeah,
she
that
stacks
would be
up.
a match.
Yeah.
That would be a good match right there.
Absolutely. What about the rest of the card? Overall, your thoughts overall for a pay-per-view event?
Israel?
No, you go ahead, Lucky. You.
For me, I would say it was a solid 8, if not 9 out of 10 for me. Like, and I, not that I have not liked East versus West. Like, I do like their events, but for me, I think this one really just was one that I was like, okay, I can really get into this. Before I watched 13 and 14 for the women's matches or whatnot, and other stuff, but I think, like, this one in particular, I really enjoyed. Probably in like 9 out of the 11 matches, I actually like watched and was engulfed in, and just like, oh man, this is really, really top tier as far as the matchups go. Toddzilla, I've gotten to meet him, and be able to hang out with him a couple of times, and so getting to see him just rock rock the world of everybody was really, really great. um some of the unknowns, as far as like the first 3 matches where, you know, East took it, and I was like, oh dang, okay, let's go, guys. So I like I said, like 9 out of the 11 matches, I was like, this is amazing. This is what arm wrestling is for me.
Which were the 2 that you didn't like? Sorry.
Nope. Falling for that.
What about you, Israel? What are your thoughts overall of the card?
Oh, I think it was a great card, man. I think there were some banger matches and some big surprises, you know. For one, I mean, I'm not trying to like say anything on Brad. I know that he's been kind of on and off lately, and you know, he's coming back into it, and he went against Bacho his first match back, and that's a big match, and it didn't go his way. But Brad Grundy's smart, and I know he'll come back, and he'll probably be working to like try to get a rematch with Bacho eventually, and you know, run it back, because I know that you know, loss hurts, and he's gonna go home, study up, get strong, and hopefully it'll be different. Another match that was really good was the Vitaly and Artem match.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That match was crazy. Did you guys see Artem's post after the fact?
Oh, what did he say?
Oh
He
yeah, he
blew
got
up.
hurt.
Yeah,
Ooh.
his elbow flexor, his like, I don't know exactly what it's called, but I think it's the same injury that Devin Sun sustained a few years back, where the tendon broke off like a piece of the bone that goes down here. So he needs some major, like, he's gonna need surgery, and he'll probably be out for like a year. So he, you know, he at least he doesn't have the pressure of defending that title anymore. He lost, but man, considering he was hurt and he hurt it that first round, he held on to Vitaly like crazy. And how insane was it that one of the like the world's considered the world's best top roller was pressing the guy he should have been top rolling? I mean, that was just crazy. And we have we have Artem top rolling him. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, we also saw Devin picking up a win over Gennady there. This one here was the Michael Todd and the Hermes Gasparini one. I had picked Hermes to win it, but I had wanted Michael to win it mainly because I wanted to see Levan versus Michael Todd. I just wanted to see what Levan would do against that King's move. But I think Hermes sort of laid the blueprint there and just said, "Look, this is how you do it." And he couldn't have done it better, in my opinion.
Yeah, what did you think about that match, Lucky?
I was 50-50 on this one personally, as far as like I really didn't have like a favorite that I picked. When the match started and just like when I watched Hermes, I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna go Michael Todd's way in any way, shape, or form. And you know, even that last little controversy or whatnot, where like, was it a pin? Wasn't a pin? And then he got like 3 pins before they called his elbow foul, and I was like, what are y'all doing? So, you know, I was happy that Hermes pulled it off in the end and was able to pull off the win for sure, because I know how stressful that is in the moment of just like, are we gonna have to run it back? Like, no, I've won, but did you? So I definitely felt for him in that moment of like, you never know like what's gonna happen when stuff gets reviewed, and then your adrenaline goes up and then it drops down, and then they were like, okay, it's a pin, so then you crash, and then they're like, just kidding, get back on the table, and then you gotta get yourself hyped up again. And you know, I was grateful. I was not grateful. I was proud of him for being able to pull off the third win. Because you never know how mentally that can really mess with somebody.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. If you think you've won, and you know, all the endorphins and the release of adrenaline and all the rest of it, and then all of a sudden it's like, actually, no, you haven't. You've got to compete again. You're like, what? And you got to get yourself back into that mind frame again. Yeah, the emotional roller coaster he would have been on is just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You know what? I also think that Michael Todd is in very good form right now. I think he's in better form than we've ever seen him. I really, really do. But I also just think that Hermes is a very, very bad matchup for him in the top of the top elites. I think Hermes specifically has had a lot of matches against him, and not only that, but his style. He has a very aggressive top roll, and like he can open Michael up enough to where and get over his hand enough. He has good ability to climb to where he can just finish off with that press if he can't finish it with the top roll. And not many people can do that in that way to Michael Todd, I will say.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Well, we might go over another 2 minutes or something. If anyone's got any questions, please put them in the comments. But I know it's getting probably fairly late over there in the United States. So is it you in Eastern Standard Time, Lucky? Are you or you
11:11, make a wish.
all right. Oh, there you go.
Before you call it, let's just talk about the main one. I want to get your opinion on it, Matt. What did you think about the Gennady Devin match?
Well, I mean, it was a win for Devin. It was a classic Devin Laurent match. It's funny when you go through the timings of each match, and it's like, okay, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 24 minutes, 1 hour. They're like, that's Devin's one. Yeah, it is frustrating to watch. It is difficult. It's I don't know. But in terms of the actual match itself, when they got going, it was great to see that Devin's hook had really improved to the level where he felt confident in it, that he was able to just drive through and get the win over Gennady. And but man, it was painful to watch. To be honest, all of those setups, it was a difficult watch. If you'd cut that down to like just the match, it would have been great. We were like, oh, this is amazing. If you had to watch that for an hour, yeah, that was painful.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely Devin's antics definitely take a lot longer than just getting up on the table and going. That's for sure. And you know what though? I think that after because there was definitely like a strength difference. I think Devin was clearly the stronger man. I'm not saying it was like a mismatch, but I think Devin did come very well prepared, and I think Gennady maybe wasn't as prepared as he could have been. Maybe he was 85, 90, 95%, but I think he wasn't like 100%. Would it have made the difference? Would it have turned the score around? I don't think so, but yeah, Devin was strong that day.
Where does Devin go from here, though?
I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the few interviews he's had, but it's looking like we're going to go full circle potentially again.
Are you thinking
third time's a charm?
Third time's a charm? Well,
it's only third time. I thought it was like the fourth or fifth at this point.
It feels like it. It feels like it.
It feels like it.
Well, it's the biggest money match out there, so I could see why they would want to put it together again. We've got a couple of comments.
Even with all the, I will say that was one thing that I noticed when I watched the pay-per-view is, it was a solid around 200K watching East versus West, and then as soon as the Devin match started, it jumped to over 400K viewers. And the man brings in the views, the man brings the people. So he's, if nothing else, appreciate the eyes he's putting on the sport.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. I think that the only criticism that I have for Devin is the setups and everything else he does. I think he's a fantastic character. I think him and his family are wonderful people. I think he does really good things for the sport of arm wrestling. He's the face of arm wrestling around the world. Yeah, it's just those long body setups that it's like, man, if we didn't have that, it would be like, this guy is the ultimate arm wrestler that I will watch every single second of. But at the moment, I'm sort of like, I'll start the match and I'll come back in 10 minutes when they're ready to start. You know what I mean?
Well, and you would think too, because of how much we've evolved with like our pay-per-views and everything like that, it would almost be fun to just, while they're setting up, to go ahead and just have like a highlight reel that plays at the same time, and then like when they're ready to go, okay, let's go, just like they do in some other sports of like, hey, these are some of his previous matches, and while they're jockeying and all that stuff, you get to watch like action, and then when they're ready to go, okay, let's go, they're good to go, let's go back to the actual thing rather than just sitting there waiting for the shoulder to be moved and all that
It's not
stuff.
it's not a bad idea. I guess it'd probably be Devon that you would have to specifically be targeting for for that, because I don't think that they have as much of an issue with anybody else. But yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's sort of like, okay, in the bottom corner you've got, they're still setting up. They're going to be doing that for 6 more minutes.
They need a camera that like switches over to like a desk where like Travis is with like somebody else who's super entertaining, and they can just like talk for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and then right when they're about to like, say go, they just switch back.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Good comment here from Home Gym Physique. He says, I'm surprised that Devon is letting Hermes go against Levan first. June match, that means Levan won't compete again until December onwards. First man to win a round against Levan will make history. Well, I think Hermes actually does have 2 rounds slotted to him against Levan from their match, where it was a 6-round match, the one with the oxygen mask for Levan. He had won the first 4 and the match was secured, and he didn't compete in the next 2. But I think they actually officially listed that as 4-2. So
Yeah, they did.
So there we go. Israel.
A win is a win, even if there's no pin.
That's right. Absolutely. Candy Passmore has asked, Israel, will you be at Winter Blast?
That's another tournament that I really, really want to get to eventually. I'm going to say that if this arm can, cooperate and get back to where it was, then I will absolutely try my best to be at Winter Blast, because that's one of the events that I really want to hit.
It's going to be one of the biggest tournaments of the year. The event taking place on March 22nd.
I think last year they broke records for attendance in
585 people attending.
Wow, yeah, that's a big tournament.
It was the largest in America and the 3rd largest in North America.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
I think the Canadian Nationals is the biggest turnout at this point in time.
Canadian.
Freaking 919
people. It almost looks like a WAF tournament, like a big WAF tournament in there. I mean, it's crazy.
Amazing. Well, we might wrap things up here. It's been a fantastic show. I'm very, very happy to have Lucky on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us about your story, not only with your weight loss, but with your different arm wrestling techniques and thoughts on matches. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And for Israel, it's always great to have you on the show, my friend, and so good to have you back in the spotlight again. And so
much, man. I'm so happy to be here. Lucky, it was great to have you. I'm glad that you're staying active and competing, and you kind of motivated me to get back into the carnivore diet.
Well, awesome.
Fantastic. All right, so check out Lucky's podcast. It is on YouTube, The Lucky Ones. Every Saturday night, she has the podcast there. It is Females in Arm Wrestling. So good to see everybody in the chat as well. Thank you for all your support. And we will finish up with a nice little double bicep if we get everyone's that one there. Oh, look out. There it is. Oh.